So I've never been open about this, but me and Mike actually had, we split up.
What is up, everyone? I'm your host, Alanized, and this is Noche de Pendejadas, your favorite talk show turned podcast, en donde yo traigo a tus influencers favoritos para platicar y posiblemente sacarles sus trapitos al sol. Please help me welcome my guest tonight, Itzel Castaneda. Hola, ¿cómo estás, amiga?
I'm good.
Welcome to LA. Well, not LA, Orange County.
Oh, yes.
Es tu segunda vez aquí, ¿verdad?
Sí, es mi segunda vez. I'm here. Last time I was here for work, and then
otra vez, you know what's so crazy, para los que no saben, amigas, la primera vez que viniste, estábamos en contacto. Actually, that's how I found you.
Yes, because people were tagging you that I was here.
So she had posted a video donde estaba como arreglándose para venirse a Los Ángeles, and a lot of the comments, I was getting tagged left and right, like, oh my God, you're going for Alanice's podcast, you're going for Alanice's podcast.
I was like, you don't even know who I am.
Yeah, y yo, so, no, not that, but yo en cuenta, I was like, ¿quién va a venir? I'm like, who's coming to my podcast? Because I was getting tagged, like, by a lot. It wasn't like 1, 2, 3. No, it was a lot of people. Yeah. I'm sure you saw your whole comment section.
Well, because I was in the airplane, so it was Southwest. I didn't have a lot of connection. So when I got off, I'm like, I didn't even know I was going. I'm like, okay. And then that's when you reached out to me.
And I reached out to her, you guys. En ese tiempo, I was like, hey, you know, I saw you're going to be in LA. Si tienes tiempo, yo sé que a lo mejor ya has de estar ocupada. Like, let's get together. Let's film. And we tried, you guys. We really did try, huh?
It was crazy. Like, we tried, but I think we were just trying too hard.
Yeah, we were trying too hard to make it work. Yeah. I still remember you called me because we were trying to figure out her flight back, and I think que se estaban cobrando hasta de más.
It was $1,000 for 2 more days or something like that. And I was like, that's impossible.
You're like, eso no, mejor me regreso.
Yeah,
nada de que noche de pendejadas esta vez, you guys. Yes. It was insane, and I literally was like, you know what? I feel like we're trying to make it happen too bad that let's just postpone it. Le dije, I'll fly you out next month. We'll figure something out. Y lo bueno que estás aquí, amiga.
You know what? It's actually my second time flying. It was so much better than my first.
Was it smoother?
Yeah, well, it was rougher, but I felt more comfortable that I was in an airplane. And my first time I was freaking out, but it was a good flight.
Siento como que era tu segunda vez, ya te sentías toda una pro.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm like
¿sabes
first
qué?
class, please.
Piloto, quítate, yo manejo el plane. Literally.
I was like, first class or what?
You're like, I'm sorry. I'm like, we don't have the budget for that yet.
Yeah.
Pero en un futuro a lo mejor sí. But I'm so excited to have you here. ¿Qué hiciste ayer? I was looking at your stories and you did a lot yesterday.
Yeah, because the first time we came, we really didn't do anything. So she was like, we're going to go eat. Literally, that's all we ate. We ate back to back. And today we're like, we're done.
You're like, hoy no vamos a comer nada.
No, la dieta starts today now because we're going back home today. But yeah, we just ate. We went to Santa Monica, I think that's how you say it. And it was beautiful. LA is really beautiful. Let's not talk about the traffic.
No, traffic in LA is crazy, you guys. And you know what's funny? That's why I used to get, well, not used to because I only did it for like 2 people. I got 2 of my like old guests a hotel in LA. And then when it came down to like, okay, tienes que venir a esta hora, they're like, oh my God, traffic is horrible. So that's why I was like, you know what, les voy a agarrar un hotel aquí cerquitas a 2-3 minutos para cuando se tengan que venir no anden en apuros. But I'm so excited que estás aquí con nosotros. I'm so excited de poder conocerte un poquito más. I've been seeing you on social media y siento como que you're literally on a rise right now. Like, have you been noticing that yourself too?
Yes, I have. I do sometimes feel like everyone else. I'm pretty sure you sometimes feel like that. You feel like, damn, like, you know, just overthink. But yeah, I feel like I'm doing great. You know, I love my girls. Even guys watch me. So, I mean, I'm just thankful. And I love them so much. I wouldn't be where I am here without them. So, I'm really grateful.
Y yo estoy súper emocionada, amigas, que hoy vamos a poder conocerla un poquito más. Hoy vamos a poder conocer un poquito más de su historia. Pero antes de que empecemos con el chisme, I'm going to go ahead y pasarle el micrófono a ella para las personitas que a lo mejor no saben quién es, para que ella se introduzca un poquito más de quién es y qué hace.
So, my name is Itzel Castaneda. I do TikTok. I do Instagram a little bit, but I guess I would consider myself an influencer. I do a lot of cooking, family vlogs, and just a little bit of everything.
Any video you upload, it lands on the For You page.
You're probably like, I'm tired of her.
I'm like, block. No te la creas. No, I really have been seeing your growth. I see your comments. Your girls are so connected. So siento como que hoy se van a sentir hasta un poquito más conectadas. Voy a empezar con la pregunta del millón. La pregunta que yo siempre empiezo con, yo quiero conocer un poquito más de Itzel. Yo quiero conocer cómo fue tu infancia. How are you growing up?
Well, I think growing up, I would say I had a good childhood and a bad childhood. There's just so many things that I learned growing up. So I would say it's more my teenage years that I found out just so much more. But I grew up with immigrant parents. It was really, really tough. I have 3 sisters, 1 brother. I also had a twin brother, but he passed away when I was 2 years old. So just growing up I was just a little girl having fun, not knowing much about life. Then eventually I just ended up learning that the one I thought was my real dad wasn't my real dad. He was actually my stepdad.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and so I ended up finding that out, and you would think that I probably took it very upsetting, very like, oh my God, I felt lied. Like,
¿Cómo te dices cuenta y a qué edad?
Well, I found out when I was like 6 or 7, because I would always use my mom's phone for like everything. I would always use it, and my mom got a call one day, and I answered. I was like, oh, hola, and then he's like, hola, mija, soy tu papá, and I'm like, mi papá está trabajando. And he's like, no, yo soy tu papá. And I'm like, who's this? Like, hey, pues, ¿quién es? And he said his name, and then I go and I run to my mom, and I'm like, Mom, like, me está diciendo que es mi papá, pero mi papá está trabajando. My mom takes the phone, and I don't know what happens after that, but I just remember my mom comes to me and tells me, like, it's because Darwin is not your dad. He's your stepdad. He stepped up over your real dad. And I think I probably just felt happy that there was someone else who took that role. Yeah. I was not upset at my mom. I was not upset at my dad. I just felt more connected to him than ever, because I'm like, who raises 4 kids that is not yours?
After, that call, did you have any type of communication with your biological father?
Well, now I started having memories. I remember a guy always being in our apartments trying to like just cause problems with my stepdad, and I just have flashbacks now. I have flashbacks of us going to his job. My mom would like try to have him in our lives, but él no quería. So my mom would be like, come on, let's go see your real dad. So now I have memories of us going to his job. I remember he gave me like $5. But it's so weird that I don't even see his face. Like, I just remember a conversation.
Or like it's very foggy. Yeah.
Very foggy. And then I remember another one where he's trying to see my other siblings, and my stepdad doesn't let me go. He's like, no, you're not going. And he went off at my dad for like, she's my daughter. My dad's like, no, like, she's my daughter. So I remember that conflict in street. And now that I tell my mom, like, Mom, I remember, she's like, that's crazy,
Do you feel like, obviously, that's algo fuerte, a los 6 años enterarte que tu papá que te está criando is it really, your biological father? Do you feel like that affected you in any way, en la manera de que a lo mejor tú no sabías ni quién eras tú? Because that's a big, like, puzzle piece that you were finding out at 6 years old.
I think the worst part was sometimes I just wondered why did the person that was supposed to love me didn't. I never really wondered who I really was. I was just wondering, like, well, how does my real dad look? Like, do I look like him? Yeah, or like, why did you leave us? Like, why did you not care so much? And so I started growing up. My mom started opening up to me because I had questions. I would ask her questions, and she was always honest. Even my older sister, I look up so much to my older sister because she went through hell. Well, my other siblings, because they're much older than me. I'm the baby, so yo no miré nada.
Igualitos. Wait, how old are you?
I'm 24.
Okay.
And my older sister's 31. So when my real dad and my mom were together, and when they officially split up, they were like, she was like 10 years old.
Ella lo vivió.
So ella vivió. My brother too. I have another sister like 3 years older than me. Ella poquito. But my older sister, I felt like she went through it. Because my mom was abused. My dad was an alcoholic, my real dad. So my sister saw my mom get beat up. She's the one who snitched my real dad out. And that's when CPS got involved and told my mom, you have to leave. Like, you cannot stay in that kind of like environment for your kids. So my mom es cuando se fue. Pero I feel like my sister como que me tenía mucho anger growing up, because maybe I had the childhood that she didn't get to have. I thought she just hated me. I thought she just like hated me. Like, how
was your guys' relationship growing up? Did that get in the way a lot?
Yeah, I did, because I remember there was times, and I know now she's grown, she has her baby, she regrets it. Like, me and her are so close. So I know it's a lot of her just having a lot of mommy issues, a lot of daddy issues. So I had to understand her point of view. Because a veces me decía, no es tu papá, like, stop calling him dad. I'm the only one who calls him dad. And she'll tell me that. And I would just cry and cry and cry. I'm like, he is my dad, he is my dad.
She would tell you this about your stepdad or your biological?
About my stepdad.
Okay.
Like, to not call him dad because he wasn't my dad. Y yo no la entendía. I wouldn't understand my sister why. Like, why are you so mean, you know? So it was really tough. Also, she was really close to my twin brother. So I think she also kind of missed that part of him. You know, like, I have a brother, my older brother, and he would take care of me a lot in Mexico. My sister would take care of my twin brother a lot. So I felt like she just probably just had so much
like a resentment, like maybe because you guys were twin siblings, maybe at the time she was like, ¿por qué se fue él? Maybe, you know?
I think so. That's how I felt for a long time. And I think she just had so many, like, issues. Till this day, she was working on it, but she's such a complete different person. And I think that took a lot of me to accept and understand because I had my dad, you know. I had a dad and she didn't. And so, you know, till this day, they all suffer of, like, daddy issues.
Yeah. And Tú te salvaste.
I'm not gonna lie, my dad saved me. My stepdad, he saved me because I think if I wouldn't have that, then I would probably be in their shoes, you know?
And you were really fortunate, too, to get a man to step up, not just to be with your mom, but to really take the place of a father, because escuchas hoy mucho en día de que, oh, my stepdad is this, my stepdad is that, no me cae bien, I don't talk to him. And you were one of the lucky ones to get someone that loved you as if you were their own.
Yeah, I agree. You know what? I remember there was times where... My older sister was really rebel, right, towards my dad, and she would tell him, like, well, you're not my dad, like, you're not my dad, you can tell me this, and I would feel so bad for my stepdad, because he's 10 years younger than my mom.
Yeah.
So my mom was 30, and my dad was 20, raising 4 kids on his own. Like, who's 20 raising 4 kids? I remember at the time, he would just cut yard, but on esos días, you know, $50 was a lot, $100 was a lot, so my stepdad really stepped up and took care of 4 kids. And to this day, I'm always grateful for him, you know, like, I really, really am. So if you would say if there's anything maybe that I lack on, it's maybe just affection. Like, affection. Yeah, my mom is very old school, and she had so much going on that she never really showed so much affection to us. Like, I know she loves me, but she won't say it often, if it makes sense, you know?
Like, it's very, like, special occasion vibes.
My
like,
birthday.
Tu cumpleaños,
Probably
Navidad.
just my birthday.
Like, just my birthday. Nos platicas un poquito, obviamente, de que a una temprana edad fallece tu twin brother. ¿Qué pasó ahí? ¿Cómo pasó eso? Cuéntanos un poquito más de eso.
Well, see, I also didn't find out I had a twin brother until I was, like, right after 7 years old. 7.
Oh, okay.
I saw pictures, and I asked, and... I'm gonna be honest, I never really asked much other than I had a twin brother. My mom was like, yeah, your twin brother passed away when he was little. Así se quedó. I never asked more until now, growing up, I wanted to know more. Like, how did he pass away? Who was with him? Because he passed away in Mexico, and my mom was obviously over here in the United States with all of us. She tried to bring him for so long. He never would be able to pass because lloraba, he was crying, he'll have seizures. And when my mom finally decided, well, I'm going to go back and I'm going to go get him myself, he passed away. And I remember they tell me that story that I was really sick. So I went to the hospital, and then my brother was in the hospital at the same time. So my mom was crying, like, telling God, like, Dios, se me vas a quitar a uno, like, please, like, just leave me one at least. Like, you can't take both. And my twin brother ended up passing away.
Do you feel like now as an adult, does that affect you? Knowing that you could have had a twin brother with you today?
Now that I have my twins, yes. Like, I see their bond. Like, yeah, they fight so much, but it's beautiful.
Like, it's like you wish you could have had that. You know, nos cuentas también un poquito de, you know, que te vienes de México a una temprana edad. ¿De dónde eres?
I'm de Rio Grande, Zacatecas.
Zacatecas. You know what? I think estamos vecinos.
Where are you from?
I'm from Nayarit, but a lot of my uncles were from Zacatecas. Tengo un tío que cuando yo vivía en México, yo me vine como en kinder. Around what time did you come?
I was like 6 months.
Oh, tú chiquita.
So like, I've lived in U.S. for my whole life.
Es todo lo que conoces. Obviamente, te vienes para acá. Do you know a little bit of the story of how you migrated to the States?
Yeah, well, my mom said that back in the day it was crazy. You can just go through the border, te pasaban. Like, you just go through the border and they would pass. So that's how we really just came, just the car. Like, we just drove crossed the border and we passed. So I came at 6 months, and ever since I've been here. But I did go to Mexico recently, like a few months ago. I went because I'm a DACA recipient, so I was able to get advanced parole to go visit back to where I am from. And now I'm trying to fix my paperwork now, finally. So
how was that? That's amazing. You know, it's crazy porque yo también I'm a DACA recipient, and I've always have thought about, you know, doing the advanced parole para poder ir, porque dicen que es súper fácil ya cuando aplicas para tus papeles, because you no longer have to leave to Ciudad Juárez to like get the approval. How was that experience for you? Vas a México después de tantos años de nunca conocer y nunca ir. ¿Cómo fue esa experiencia? Walk us through at least the process too, because I feel like I've talked about this briefly with other guests, but we've never really have talked about like the process that goes into advanced parole.
Well, see, I have an amazing friend. Her name is Jacqueline Gonzalez. She is my lawyer at the moment, and she has helped me so much, because around the beginning, I never wanted to fix my paperwork. I didn't want to do advanced parole. I was so scared of just going to Mexico and not being able to come back. So I would always say, no. My mom would tell me, do it. And I'm like, no, Mom, like, I can't. Like, just thought of not leaving my girls behind and never coming back just really hurt me. So I would always say no, until the lawyer convinced me. She made me feel very safe, like very comfortable and safe. And she's like, it's going to be okay. She's like, you're just going to apply for advanced parole. If you have any family member over there, que tan malitas or anything like that, they can help you, you know? So I do have a tia. She's by herself over there, and she has medical issues. And she was able to give me a note from her doctor saying that she was really ill and that, you know, she would like for me to go visit her. So I got my advanced parole. We submitted the form. I got approved really, really fast. I got approved, and then they send you a date letter, and they tell you can only go from these days to this day. And you can have like a whole, so busy, and you have to leave whatever you're doing to go to that appointment.
Like you have to drop whatever you're doing.
Whatever, you have to go. So I remember Mike's tia abuela had passed away, and we were going to her funeral. It was like so chaotic. Like it was just too much. My father-in-law still, he's like, you know what, I know we're going through it, but we're going to take you. Like, we're going to make this possible for you. So we drove, and I think we went to Acuña. We crossed through Acuña. It was really scary. I was so scared to not be able to come back. I was really, really scared. And then going on their way over there, you just see, like, people crossing, you know, to try, I guess, también en lo de Mexico. And it really broke my heart. I was just like, oh, my God. Like, I just thought about my mom, thought about, like, you know, because I know people come here for a better life. So it just broke my heart. And as soon as we crossed, a whole different world. Like, I'm like, oh my God, one little border just separates.
Hasta el aire se siente diferente,
yes. Hasta la comida. I'm like, oh, this food is good. But yeah, it's just so crazy. I told Mike, like, dude, I can't believe I have been on this side this whole time, and this is how Mexico looks. Like,
how long were you in Mexico for?
Honestly, just for hours. I had to go and come back for the funeral, so we couldn't really stay there for so long. But I could have stayed there for a whole week.
A whole week, hasta un mes, no? I've heard.
It's just you get what you get.
It's so crazy because I've looked into the process. I've looked into, you know, todo lo que va. And one of the things that scares me, because I recently just found this out, I don't know, maybe you can confirm, que te dan como un papel.
Yes.
Y esa es como tu ticket back. So imagínate, güey, tú vas a México y pones este papelito en tu bolsa y alguien en México te roba tu bolsa, güey, ¿qué pasa? Like, that's the craziest thing. Like,
you know what? You're a lot like me. I overthink about everything.
Yeah, I always think about that because I've been wanting to do advanced parole ya por mucho tiempo. Like, it's been in my mind. I'm like, oh my God, like, it's just going to make my whole process easier. Pero sí me da mucho miedo porque he escuchado que hay mucha gente por el miedo salen y entran rápidamente just so they can have like, okay, I'm here legally, like I'm good. But sí da mucho miedo. Imagínate a las personas que van y se quedan allá mucho tiempo, se les pierde el papel or algo pasa, you guys. It is very scary. Were you scared when it came down to like coming back? Like you had your papelito and the officer was like looking at it. ¿Qué estaba pasando through your mind when that was going on?
You know what? When we were coming back, we stopped by to eat really quick. My father-in-law didn't even let me leave my folder in the car. He's like, tráetelo, like bring it. So we had it with us eating. We had it with us because I did not let go of that paper. I was like, there's no way I'm staying here. So when we were going back, you get down to the immigration little office that they have, and ahí es donde te bajas. First you give them a paper when you're crossing, and then they send you to that room, and then they tell you to get down, and they interview you. Why are you here? And then you just tell them, I'm here to see my tia that was really sick. And they're like, you know, this is for just 1 day pass. You can't come back. Like, they're so strict on that. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And me lo dan para atrás. It was so easy. I had the smoothest experience. I know everyone has experiences different, but I think I had such a great experience.
Y lo bueno que ya estás aquí legalmente. Aside from DACA, because when you have DACA, amigas, you're here legally, like they can't take you out. Pero ya siendo advanced parole, you've entered legally.
Yes.
So it makes your process so much quicker and smoother. You know, quiero platicar un poquito más de tu infancia growing up as an immigrant child with immigrant parents. ¿Cómo fue eso para ti? ¿Fue difícil? Not just for you, but maybe seeing your parents, you know, trying to make a living, trying to make a life for you and your siblings in a country que necesariamente no es de nosotros?
It was really, really tough. Obviously, my parents are not from here, so it was really, really tough to see my dad get up really, really early, find a job. Before they started asking for like socials and stuff like that, we used to be good. You know, my dad used to make good money and stuff like that. And then the moment they started asking for like socials and stuff, my mom lost her job, my dad lost his job. We lost our apartment. I remember they used to put like little locks outside your door when you don't pay your rent. So they did that to us. And I remember my mom, see, I was just a little girl living life. To me, going in through the window, because they made me go through the window to be able to open the lock and take our stuff out. That was just me having a little good childhood. Like, I feel like they tried protecting me as much as they could. But now that I'm older, I realize what they were doing. So they'll just put me through the window, take all the things out, all our furniture, and we had my mom's good friend that let us stay at her apartment. We were there for mostly a year in one little room. All 6 of us were just locked up in that little 1-bedroom apartment. So it was tough. My mom couldn't find a job. My dad couldn't find a job. They were very, very broke.
¿A qué edad tú te das cuenta de que el estando aquí en los Estados Unidos sin papeles can affect, you know, a uno really, really bad?
I used to say when I was little, when they were going through that, what is having papers a big difference? Like, you're just born in Mexico. What's the big deal? I think I started realizing maybe when I was like 15, when I was now seeing my parents struggle financially and know that they couldn't buy things because they weren't from here. They couldn't buy a house. They didn't have money, or they couldn't apply for this job. So that's when I started realizing whenever I would see my mom stressed out and crying, and I did my own research, and I'm like, well, damn, you can't buy a house if you're not from the U.S., you know? So that's when I realized that it's important. Like, all of those things, you know, it just affects you a lot.
A esa edad, obviamente, you know, you're 15, you're in high school at this point. Did, you know, not having papers affect you and kind of made you like, oh my God, like I can't tell people that I'm not from here? Like, did it cause any type of like maybe insecurity?
You know what? That's one thing about me. Growing up, I was always straightforward that I was from Mexico. I did have kids make fun of me that I was Mexican and that, you know, I didn't have papers. They'll call me like a wetback. So I grew up hearing that a lot, and I think it just made me more proud of who I am, because now we have a house. I just think have always been very proud from where I am, even though I don't remember much, but I'm grateful.
And that's something beautiful, because, you know, with my story, it was a little bit different. Like, growing up, yo siempre me sentía como ashamed. I always felt like I didn't belong, or like I wasn't as a good of a person compared to someone that did have papers. Yo me acuerdo, yo llegué ya en like kindergarten. So ya entendía, you know what I mean? So I feel like the difference with you and me is like you were here a los meses. So like you learned English at the same level, at the same pace as everyone else when they were learning. Yo me acuerdo cuando yo llegué, it was elementary, so obviamente kids are ruthless, you know, llegas sin hablar one fucking word in English. They introduce you like, oh, we have this new, you know, student, no habla inglés, so please, you know, communicate with him if you guys speak Spanish, yada, yada, yada. Y me acuerdo que de mí se burlaban mucho, me decían wetback, me decían que esto otro. So cuando yo pude y empecé a hablar bien el inglés, I kind of like left that part of me kind of like in the back. Like, si me preguntaban, I would kind of do whatever it would take to kind of dodge the question, like, oh, ¿de dónde vienes? ¿De dónde eres? Oh, de aquí, like, oh, like, you know what I mean? Like, as a child, como que sí te causa mucha inseguridad, y por eso te lo estaba preguntando, because, you know, growing up here in the States without having papers, como que en verdad es otra mentalidad que uno tiene que tener, because it's hard, you know? Ahora tú a los 16 años aplicas y agarras DACA, 16, right?
Sí, 16.
¿Cómo te cambia eso la vida? ¿Cómo te das cuenta de este programa?
Well, you know what? But my mom was really like on top of just things, immigration stuff. So my mom saw that DACA was available, and as soon as I was able to apply, well, my sister applied first. She's 3 years older than me, so she got it first, and then I got it. And my mom was just on top of it. She's like, no, and I'm telling you, we couldn't afford much things, but I don't know how my mom did it, that she saved up every dime, because I think it's like it's 500 to
like,
renew.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much it was.
Pienso que eran como $700. Yeah, it's always been over $500. Yeah.
Yes. So I remember it was just a lot of money for us, and my mom saved every single dime she could. We took it. I had no knowledge of what this really was. I just knew I was able to work. Like, I'm like, oh, I can make money. You know, I was like, that's cool. I didn't realize I could not have a driver's license without my DACA. So now that I'm older, I have a lot more knowledge. But I remember going to the office. My mom took us. We did all paperwork. I got approved. We got my DACA. And at this time, I was like 16 and about to be 17. And I was like, I can work. Like, I'm gonna work. You know, I saw my parents struggling a lot, so I'm like, they don't have to buy me my school stuff, they don't have to worry about anything, so I'm gonna work for myself. So I got a job at a retail store, and it was my first job ever. I loved my coworkers. It was just amazing. It was an hourly wage. I believe I got $7.50, but to me that was a lot. I've never seen money. So I remember still my first check, what I did was gave it to my parents. I remember my mom was struggling, and my mom was like, mija, can I borrow $400? Like, I'll pay you back. I'm like, how am I going to ask my mom to pay me back those $400? I had nothing to spend, like, you know, so I'm like, yeah, mom. So I remember I gave them to her, and it was just a bittersweet moment that I was able to, like, help, or that I could pay for my own stuff, and they didn't have to worry about, you know, I still had Paola, because that's my middle name. That's what they call me. I still had Paola. I still had to buy her stuff. So it was a little stress relief for them.
And I feel like that's great that you right away, you know, you saw this opportunity, because for those of you guys that don't know, DACA is a program for, you know, kids that came to the States, you know, at a very young age, y que estudiaron aquí. Y es una oportunidad de donde te dan tu seguro de trabajo, where you're able to live a working life like your average American. And it's a great opportunity. You know, me ha cambiado a mí muchísimo la vida. I feel like I wouldn't be here working as much as I do if it weren't for that. Y obviamente a ti también te ha cambiado la vida. Empiezas a trabajar, you start making your money, y te cambia eso la vida. Do you start helping out your parents more? Does that kind of help out with like the whole financial situation?
I think more about them not having to worry about pay for my stuff. Even though sometimes they still would. Obviously, we went to go eat, they'll pay for me. But it felt good to be like, don't worry, I got it. Or I'll be able to take my mom out on dates, because me and my mom were so close when I was in high school. I'll be like, Mom, let's go eat a Tutti Frutti, some ice cream and stuff, and we'll go and I'll be able to pay. So it just felt really good to them not have to worry about paying for me, you know, at all times.
How are you in school? Obviamente, at this time, you're in high school. Eras the shy girl, the popular girl. Eras peleonera. Have you ever been in a fight?
I have.
Shut up. Cuéntame. Wait, I want to know. No. Why? What happened?
I was like in middle school. I remember this, some little girl like I was close to her in middle school, and she was getting bullied by some other girl, and I confronted the bully, and we just fought in the
Who won?
I don't think no one won. I remember when my dad picked me up, my mom was so mad, and my dad was like, "Te la chingaste? Si te la chingaste, it's okay." And I'm like, I don't know.
You're like, I don't know si me chingaron a mí.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. But my parents were always like different for what's right, so they were never like upset. But it was a small little fight.
After that little fight, was the bully like, okay, ya, no se metan con esa muchachita?
Well, see, we were just able to fix things. They just stopped messing with her.
That's good. That's a good first fight. Like, lo bueno que esa es tu historia, no de que, ay, me agarré putazos porque esto y esto otro. Like, I feel like you had like a good story to like when it comes to getting down, because nowadays we hear people getting down que me miro feo, and I'm like, güey, a lo mejor nomás está mirando y está pensando que estás bonita, because that happens. Has that ever happened to you? Maybe like now, ya de grande, where you're like staring at someone, but like it's nothing malicious. Like it's like, oh my God, they're so pretty, or oh my God, they look so good.
Yes.
Y luego te empiezan a mirar como de que, güey, ¿por qué me estás mirando? And I'm like, I wish you could hear my thoughts.
No, that's so true, because sometimes I zone out, and I mean, I'm a girl. Like, if you're so beautiful, I will keep staring at you. If you have a big butt, I will be like, damn, you have a big butt. Because I mean, why not? So that's my little thing. Sometimes I'd be staring too hard, but because you're pretty. Like, it's not because I think something else.
Yeah, know? Like it's not like I want to get down. I'm like, no. So a los 18 años conoces al amor de tu vida, que en ese entonces tú ni en cuenta de que iba a ser tu futuro marido. ¿Cómo se conocieron tú y Michael? Cuéntanos un poquito más de esa historia de amor.
It was our junior year, and we actually had a mutual close friend friend, and he was my close guy friend. He was his close guy friend, but I never realized that they were close. And he was just telling me, "Oh, I'm gonna ride with Michael after school." And I'm like, "Michael? Who's Michael?" And he's like, "The guy with the red truck." I'm like, "Damn, a red truck? I don't know who that is." So I brushed it off, and then somehow I just kept hearing of Michael. And
the red truck.
Yes, and Michael was the guy who gave everyone a ride to school. Like, his truck was full of people, full of his guy friends, and he'll take you to school, pick you up. Like, he was so nice, right? And I'm like, damn, like, tienes toda la troca llena, not even for me. But he was that guy, so that's how I met him. And we just, he ended up following me on Instagram, and I was like, whatever, I'll follow back. And we followed back, and he would just blow me up, trying to get my attention. We switched numbers, and we went on a date to Wings. We went to go have wings. And I remember ese día, él le gusta bone-in,
ajá, con el hueso.
Sí, con el hueso. And I like boneless. And I got boneless because that's what I really eat. And he got boneless. Para no ensuciarse, to not get dirty, because
para impresionar a la Itzel,
yes.
Para quedar bien, para que no se mire como un puerco comiendo, right?
Y ahora ya ni le importa.
Y ahora, he's like, fuck it, que me mire como puerco. Hasta el hueso se lo come.
Literally. So, yeah, that's how we met, and ever then we just...
How did you guys make it official? ¿Cómo él te pidió que seas su novia, o cómo pasó eso?
You know what? Él me preguntó, it was our story, remember, it was December 19th, and he asked me out, and le dije que no. I was like, I don't want a boyfriend. Like, I don't want a boyfriend. I just don't want one. He's like, he was the sweetest. He was so gentle, so polite, and he was just very patient. And me dijo, well, I'm gonna wait for you. Y sí se esperó. Like, he waited for me, and we would still talk. And then he never really asked me out again. We just knew what's up.
Did you ever ask him cómo se sintió when you rejected him? Because te pregunto eso because me and my boyfriend have been together ya por como 7 años. When I first asked him to be my boyfriend, he rejected me. Yo supuestamente bien romántico lo llevé a la playa because that's like his favorite place. We had just had dinner, like we were talking, like it was like legit, right? Lo llevo a la playa and I'm like, hey, do you want to be my boyfriend? Me dice que no, pero me dice que supuestamente era because the date was ugly. And I'm like, boy, BFFR, fuck you, I'm moving on. I really was like, chinga su madre, on to the next. Because at the time I was young, you know, like I had a lot of pretendientes. No, and I remember I was like, fuck him, like whatever. 2 days later, he asked me out. 2 days later.
Why 2 days later?
Because we had gone out, and funny story, it was at like the Lego store. El muchacho que nos estaba ayudando was like gay, and he was hitting on me. Like my boyfriend would like ask him questions, y lo ignoraba, and he would talk just to me. He would be like, oh, you look so good. Like it was like a random, like even me, I'm like looking back, I'm like I swear to God, like my boyfriend probably would have thought like, oh, you paid him to be this nice to you. Because I swear to God, even I felt uncomfortable because I'm like, bro, like you see me with my partner. Siento como que le dio miedo. Siento como que miró.
He realized what he was losing.
He was like, fuck, si no me aprovecho yo, alguien me lo va a tomar. How did Michael react? ¿O no te dijo nunca cómo se sintió when you rejected him?
He never stopped. He kept going. I think for me it was more, I was just a sad teenage girl in high school that I just didn't want to suffer another heartbreak. So I think he understood my reason. It wasn't because I was like, no, like, you know, no quiero. It was just, I was just a really sad girl. So I think
In what way?
I think I just had a lot of insecurities about myself, just knowing we struggled a lot financially at home. I know my mom had a lot of problems with my older sister, you know, so I just had a lot of family problems growing up that I was just a sad little girl. I don't know why. I never understood why. I had my stepdad. I just suffered like a lot within myself.
Dices ahorita que a lo mejor no sabes, but I feel like a lot has to do with maybe like the things were happening to you, but whatever happens in your home consumes you as a child. You know what I mean? Like, yo me acuerdo también cuando estaba chiquito, si había pleitos entre mis papás, si había pleitos, like it almost makes you like, gives you anxiety, gives you like, because it's so chaotic, you know, whether it's toxic or it's like, you know, money problems, it's, you know, it's a toxic like household in a way, and obviamente that rubs onto you, and that's why maybe it made you insecure. Do you feel like your insecurities have gotten less over the years ahora ya que eres mujer?
Yes and no. I think once I started social media, it made me a lot more insecure because I didn't know I was insecure about certain things until people point them out. And they're like, oh, you do this, you look like this. That made me more insecure, but I think that's probably the only part. But I mean, I think everyone fights their own insecurities every single day, so that's why I'm always like don't judge people, you know. People look the way they look. That's how God brought them, and it's okay. And especially if people like to change how they look, I'm all for it. Go get that BBL. Go get those Botox. Do what you gotta do to make yourself feel good.
That's the thing with social media. Pienso que la gente se le olvida que al fin del día eres un humano. Yeah. Al fin del día tienes sentimientos. Al fin del día you have insecurities. Yes. Y I've never understood what's up with people cuando they like to attack people on their insecurities. And I'm like, wait, a ver, mírame. Quiero verte a ti.
And they don't even have a picture.
Exactly. I'm like, no, es de estar más culero que yo y aquí criticando. That's crazy. So, a los 19 años, sales embarazada. A year later after meeting Michael, ¿cómo te das cuenta de la noticia?
So, obviously, me and Mike were never safe. But, I don't know. Just pregnancy didn't cross our heads, I guess. It was for a long time. Like, you know, it just never crossed our heads. And, I mean, we probably shouldn't have been surprised when we found out. But whenever I found out, I remember I was late on my period for like so long. I was probably like over 30 days. But I would take pregnancy tests back to back y me salían negativos. Negative, negative, negative. So at this point, me and Mike were having issues. We were in senior year now. So all his friends were partying, and I'm a more homebody person, so yo más quería ir on dates. And he was like, well, let's go to the club. I'm like, dude, like I'm older than Mike, and I was able to get in a club, but he wasn't. So I'm like, how are you gonna get in the club? Yeah, like you're not even like
and age. I'm pregnant. Yeah.
Well, I wasn't pregnant at the time.
Oh, you weren't pregnant at the time. Okay.
But I was pregnant, but before I found out I was pregnant, he was trying to like
go with
his
pero
friends.
Tú no sabías.
But yo no sabía I was pregnant. Y luego, well, whenever I found out I was pregnant, me and him were broken up. Like we weren't even together, but we would still text. And I told him there's something wrong with me, and I was like, I don't know what you gave me. You probably gave me STD or something. I was blaming him, and he was like, dude, I'm only with you. Like, what do you mean? And then that's when we went to the doctor and we took a test. It was time for like a real actual test because those pregnancy tests were not working for me. So when we went and I took the pregnancy test, it came back positive. Y luego, I was having really heavy bleeding, like maybe like a week before, no, maybe like 4 days before my appointment, and I thought I was having a miscarriage or something. So I was like, oh my God, maybe I was pregnant, I wasn't taking care of myself, and I just had a miscarriage or something. So whenever I got approved whenever it was positive for my test, they told me to do an ultrasound to confirm that I was still pregnant. So, después de eso, I got an ultrasound and it confirmed I was pregnant. Pero más era un baby.
Oh, at the time. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Well, because si no saben, amigas, tienes twins, yes, which we'll get into that a little bit. Quiero saber cómo fue su reacción de Mike y tuya. You know, vas al doctor, tú pensando acá que, ay, tengo STDs o algo, y llegas y te dice, no, mi amor, estás embarazada.
Honestly, Mike wasn't in the room with me. Like, I was like, no, you're not coming in with me. I'm going to go by myself.
Yeah, like, we're broken up.
Yeah, we're broken up. Stay over there. You broke up with me. And, so he was over there, and then I go, le texteo, like, dude, I'm pregnant. He's like, dude, you're lying. I'm like, no, I'm pregnant. He doesn't text me back. I walk out of the room, and he's paying for the visit. And he's all paying, and then he's like, what do you mean you're pregnant? I'm like, what do you mean? I'm pregnant. And then he's just in shock, and I'm in shock, and we're laughing in the car. When we get in the car, we're just laughing. And we're just laughing, like we're in shock. But the next day, it kicked us, and we started crying. Like he cried, and I cried.
What was like your initial thought? Obviously, you were 19, apenas estabas empezando a vivir tu vida como adulta. Mm-hmm. Did you ever feel like, oh shit, like what did I do?
Yes, I felt like I didn't realize what I was doing. Like, I knew my parents suffered a lot financially. I knew I wasn't set. I knew I wanted to go to university. I knew I wanted to do so many things for myself, and I'm sure he did too, that I just felt like, damn. But I tried to not have those feelings a lot because I was already 19. I knew what I was doing, you know, like I should have taken care of myself. So I couldn't really like think like that because I should have just been careful.
¿Cómo le das la noticia a tus papás? Like, did they take it well or cómo reaccionaron?
Well, see, and I have made a story time, but I didn't include that in my story time. But prior to me telling my mom I had already known I was pregnant, I ended up having like, my nephew was so close to me, so attached to me. You know, they say those myths, like so attached to me and Michael. And my mom me decía, no me vas a salir con tu domingo 7. No, we're going to be pregnant. I'm like, Mom, no. And I'm like, why would I say no? Like, I was pregnant.
Oh, ya sabías.
I was already known. Yeah, it was a week after I found out.
I would have been like, ay, a lo mejor si pasa to warm it up.
No, I was so terrified. Because my other sister, which was 3 years older than me, she got pregnant at 19 también. So
lucky number.
And then my mom got pregnant at 19. I'm like, Mom, we're following your footsteps. Nah, I'm just kidding. But I ended up telling her, and when I got home from school, she was taking care of my nephew. And then I told her, I'm like, Mom, like, I need to tell you something. She looks at me like, ¿qué? And I'm like, she's like, "Estás embarazada." She said it for me. I'm like, "Yes." And she's like, "¿Por qué, Paola? I told you." Like, she was so disappointed because, like I said, we were so broke that my mom, I would do college classes in high school, and my mom would save every single dime to still be able to pay for my college classes. So I think that's where she was hurt.
Did you feel like you disappointed your parents, especially with everything that was going on in your guys' life?
Yes, I think big time. I think especially my dad. I was my dad's little girl. I think I love my mom, but I think I hurt my dad a lot more with me coming out pregnant.
Nos cuentas de que empezaron a llorar, tú y Mike, el próximo día después de enterarse que están embarazados los dos, because, you know, ya son uno.
Yes.
What was the convo? ¿Qué se dijeron? Like, he was like, pues, it is what it is, we have to do it? Or what was the initial convos at the beginning?
You know what? I remember I told him, like, you don't have to be in the picture if you don't want to be. Like, I understand. Like, and he was very mature about it, because I still remember he was like, I knew what I was doing. We both knew what we were doing. Just never happened for a long time. So it was consequences, right? So he was very like, no, I'm gonna step up. It's just hard. It's a hard situation that we just have to grow out of, you know, like understand that this is our life now.
At the time of you finding out you were pregnant, it was one sac, one baby. Luego te das cuenta de que son gemelos.
Yes.
¿Cómo te das? First of all, how do you find out about this big news? Because I'm sure, you know, okay, we're having a baby, and then you're like, oh no, babes, you're having two babies. Ha de haber sido una notición. Like, ¿cómo pasó eso?
It really was. It was so since, you know, they said the myths, if you're a twin, it either skips a generation or you'll have a twin. So I would always say, growing up, whenever I found out I was a twin, I would always tell my mom, I want to have twins. Like, uno ya, cada, right? I'm like, I want to have twins, I want to have twins. Well, whenever I met Mike and we would like have little conversations, I would tell him, dude, I hope I have twins. He would tell me, you're never going to have twins. People who want it like that, they never have twins. It's like 1 in a million chance. And I'm like, he ruined my bubble, right? So whenever I found out I was pregnant, it was just a one little dot. You can't even see if it like the baby. So then I go to my 8-week OBGYN appointment, and they insert like the vaginal one, and all the doctor tells, as soon as he inserts it, I see 2. Like, it was so clear. And I'm like, is that twins? And he's like, oh, congratulations. And Michael was zoned out. Like, he was just staring at me. He's like, why are you crying? Because it happened so fast. I'm like, dude, we're having twins. He's like, what? And I'm like, yes, look. And I point at the camera, and that's when he saw the 2 babies. And he was so speechless. Like, he was speechless. I was crying. My mom estaba ahí. Mama, te dije que ibas a tener twins. Te dije. And I'm like, oh my God, my mom was right.
At that time, you guys were super young. Obviamente, you guys didn't have the income, you know, at the time. Was that hard, you know, obviamente, preparing for 2 babies instead of 1? Porque me imagino que ya con uno, you guys were like, ¿cómo le vamos a hacer? Que los pampers, que la comida, ya te dicen que son 2.
Like,
what was, you know, that combo after finding out?
So when we found out, I worked in retail and Mike worked at Home Depot. And obviously, I was still in high school and he was still in high school. I was so close to my teachers and my counselors, and I remember I went and I told her I was pregnant with 1 baby, and I told her I wanted to graduate early because I had all my credits. I could have graduated, and she would try to convince me to like just finish it. There's a lot of girls who have gotten pregnant. They still walk. They still go through them. So I'm like, you know, you're right. And then I go and I found out twins, and I go back to my counselor. I'm like, I need to graduate ASAP. Like, there's no way. So I end up graduating early, and Mike does too. He follows my footsteps. So then he gets his first big boy job at the plants, at the refineries, and he hates it. He completely hates the job that he was doing, and I had to call off work because I was already like 4 months pregnant, and I was high risk since I was 4 months. So I had to always be in bed rest or just not be working a lot. So he was just taking care of me financially. So it was really, really tough, even till after the girls were born. Like, I probably lived my parents' life whenever, you know, with me. So it was really tough on us. We were just young, trying to survive.
I feel like for young parents, it's always so hard because you're like, fuck, like, I don't know what to do, how to do this shit. Nos cuentas un poquito de que you had a high-risk pregnancy. Cuéntanos un poquito más de eso.
I don't want to say it was horrible because it was amazing raising 2 babies in my tummy, but I just suffered so much. I had preeclampsia that I was always just in bed. I never wanted to do anything. I never realized how severe preeclampsia was until I gave birth. I was always at doctors every week. Ever since I turned 4 months pregnant, I had a high risk that I was at doctors every single week getting ultrasounds. If not one doctor, it was the other doctor. So it was really tough on me. I just felt tired and draining, and my whole body changed. Like, I got so swollen that I didn't even recognize myself. I remember, and I think that's my biggest fear, getting pregnant now. Like, but I didn't know better at the time. Comía de todo. Like, I would eat whatever because I was pregnant.
Like, se me antojaba, fuck it.
I used to eat the Jack in the Box, the chicken sandwiches. Me comía those with 2 Jack in the Box tacos.
And you're like, la excusa es que tengo 2 bebés, uno para cada uno.
Literally, that was my excuse. But I never realized preeclampsia. My doctor, my OBGYN, was never open about what preeclampsia was.
What is that? If you can explain a little bit, because I'm not knowledgeable and I'm sure a lot of people at home might not know what it is. Explícanos un poquito más de qué es eso.
So preeclampsia is usually whenever you have high blood pressure throughout your whole pregnancy. It's really, really severe because, one, your babies don't get oxygen. And then when you give birth, having your blood pressure when you're pregnant is not good. Like, it's just not good. So it just doesn't let your baby get all the nutrients and just a lot of stuff like that. Honestly, I don't know detail by detail, but I just know what I learned after I gave birth. It's really severe.
Was it scary in the way of, like, during your pregnancy pasó algo where you're like, oh my God, like, I don't know if my babies are going to make it, because nos explicas un poquito that it's hard for the babies to get the nutrients?
No. It happened towards the end when I was about to give birth. That's how I delivered the girls early. But because I am 100% feel like my OBGYN wasn't more open about preeclampsia and didn't give me enough knowledge about it, because I didn't take it serious. I just knew I had it, but they never told me, you can't do this, you can't do that, you need to watch yourself. I never got told any of that. So I never realized how serious it was until I was giving birth.
So you were living your pregnancy like, oh, I have preeclampsia, pero como si nada.
I could have died and I didn't even know. Like,
how was your giving birth? Nos explicas que you didn't realize and you didn't see how hard or how it can affect you till you gave birth. ¿Por qué dices eso? Like, what did you realize, or what was going on in your birth that made it hard and made it finally sink in?
Well, whenever I was giving birth, I was 34 weeks pregnant, and the day that I was about to give birth, I turned 35 weeks, and I knew the girls were like 4 pounds, right? They were so little. I go on my normal regular checkup, and they see an ultrasound that baby A is not getting no oxygen. Like, she's not getting any oxygen, but they don't tell me anything until I drive off. We're leaving, and they call me, hey, can you come back to the office? I'm like, why? Like, I was just there. They're like, well, it seems like baby A is not getting enough oxygen, and we need you to come back immediately. My heart dropped, my heart sank. I'm like, I was just there. Like, usually what they do is they do the ultrasounds, take it to the doctor, they confirm that everything's good, and then they send you home. So that's what they did to me. They sent me home. So I went home.
Tu confiada que todo estaba bien.
But not everything was okay. So whenever I come back to the doctor, they tell me, you need an emergency C-section. Like, the babies are not getting oxygen. So I freak out, and I'm like, first, I don't want surgery. Second, like, I ended up finding out, like, you can die giving birth with preeclampsia, or just giving birth, no health issues at all. You can always just die, giving birth. But knowing that I had preeclampsia was so scary. And I gave birth to the girls
that
C-section
day?
That day. It was literally so fast, within 2 hours.
Had you gone to the doctor's appointment sola?
My mom would go with me every single time.
So, like, Mike ni en cuenta de que they were going to rush you to give birth.
Mike didn't know. I ended up texting him. I'm like, dude, they want me to give birth right now. I knew with twins it's accurate to give birth early, but he was at work, and he was like, do you want me to leave early? And I'm like, no, it's okay. And he's like, well, you're crazy. Like, I'm on my way. And he left, and I gave birth within 2 hours.
Te das cuenta that giving birth is dangerous, that you can lose your life. Did you ever have a combo with Mike de que si algo pasa, salva las girls? Was that ever a combo that you guys had, especially because of how high risk it was?
Honestly, no, I never did. I think I was all about my mom at the time, because, I was pregnant and my mom knew more. I was all about my mom, that whatever my mom wanted to do, it was up to her. But being a mom, and when I was pregnant, I would always say I would save my babies first. I've always said that. I know there's different opinions, but just for me at that time, when it was that scary moment, I just couldn't think about my babies not being here.
So you give birth. ¿Llega Mike a tiempo?
Yes.
Okay, so how was that? Cuéntanos un poquito más de, wow, now I have my babies aquí conmigo.
So the first night, whenever I gave birth, I remember, I'm not gonna lie, Mike was horrible. Like, he was so tired. He did not stay up. He just couldn't. Like, he said, Mom, help me. Mom, help me. Until my mom was like, y'all need to learn. Like, y'all gonna have to learn today. We're gonna leave the room, and y'all gonna have to learn. And I think that's the day that it kicked in, when everyone left us alone, that it kicked in, like, oh, damn, like, we're parents too. And it was tough, because baby B, which is Bella, she had a lot of spit up, and I would not sleep the whole 4 days, because I was there for 4 days. I did not sleep because my blood pressure was still high, but I would not sleep because I would be scared of Bella choking on her milk. So I wouldn't sleep. It was so draining. I remember they tried to wake me up because I finally fell asleep the last day when I was about to get discharged. They tried to wake me up and they couldn't. All I hear is my mom screaming like, Paola, she thought I died or something. And the doctor walked in. She was like, she's just tired. Like, she's resting.
Exhausted. Yeah. I was actually seeing a TikTok, which is, I literally, it was like a whole, it sparked like a whole conversation within myself. It was actually a video of Wendy and Evelyn, the twins. No sé si las conoces. Era el video donde Wendy was giving birth. It was like a clip where Evelyn was crying that no one was paying attention to the mom. You know what I mean? After giving birth, which is very true. You know, miras que cuando van los familiares to meet the baby, like you kind of disregard the mom. It's kind of like, oh, deja ver el bebé. Oh my God, cómo salió todo el bebé. Obviously, you're excited, but I feel like a lot of the time we tend to forget that the women that gave birth, o sea, la mamá, is exhausted, is going through it. She literally just pushed out a baby. What was your mental state at that point? Obviously, you had been exhausted. You were drained. You had just given birth to 2 twins. ¿Cómo te sentías tú, like, after?
I was so drained that all I knew that everyone else was going for the babies. Obviously, I knew my mom was just there for me, though. Like, yes, she loves her granddaughters, but I'm my mom's baby. So I knew she was there to take care of me. It was really hard. That's the hardest me Mike went through because he has a huge family where we're from, like in Houston. Everyone is so close to him that he was so excited, and his whole family was so excited that they were just showing up, right? And I was like, and I love them, you know, but I was like, Mike, look how I look. Like, I felt so ugly. I felt disgusted. I just felt like, I don't want no one to watch me. I didn't even want my dad, like, to be there. Like,
and you just went through a whole labor. How many hours were you in labor?
It was quick because it was a C-section, 2 hours. 2 hours. It was so quick because I had
But you were in pain.
But I was in pain. Toda like ugly, like I was like, babe, I don't want anyone.
Okay, so agárrame un makeup artist que me pinte aquí algo. You know what's funny? I actually just had that convo not too long ago with a friend because a veces como hasta da miedo to like put boundaries because you don't want family to be like, oh, why is she being weird? Why is she not wanting us to come? Pero a veces en verdad sí necesitas como mamá and just as a couple to like have those moments in the hospital as a breather. You know what I mean? Like I remember when my best friend had her baby, she was like telling me about it, you know, me estaba contando, no necesariamente like, oh, I don't want you to come, but she was telling me kind of like that, like all the family's coming, I'm overwhelmed, you know, like I just want to relax, like I don't want to feel like I have to entertain because tienes que entretener, you know what I mean? Like, ¿cómo te sientes, mija? Like, girl, I don't want to hear it, like I don't want to talk, like I want to chill. Y yo me acuerdo que yo le dije a mi amiga, le dije, hey friend, like I know you're overwhelmed, you know, you're gonna give birth. Yo me acuerdo que yo le dije, yo voy a ver y voy a conocer a tu bebé cuando tú estés lista. If it's a week out, I'll go see you a week out. Was that kind of something you wish you could have done?
I think so. I think maybe just until I was out of the hospital, at least, for sure. Just because, again, I didn't sleep those whole days. So people were coming and I just felt very, not because I don't like them or anything like that. It's just I felt very overwhelmed within myself. Like, I had to check on the girls and then, like you said, entertain guests, you know? So I just told Mike it wasn't the time for people to come. Because when I tell you, it wasn't just 2 people, okay? It was like, Mike has a big family, like, el tío del tío and blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, I can't do that right now. Like, baby.
El primito, el primito, el primito. Ah, you're like, even the whole newborn baby de la tía wants to meet the new baby. That's crazy.
So that's what I just felt.
It's a very Hispanic thing, though. Like, I will want to say that. I feel like now, ya que estoy un poquito más grande, like I do want to say, like whenever my friends have babies, like I'm very respectful. I try not to go visit them at the hospital, which sounds very bad, you guys, because I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, oh my God, like why don't you go? But like if we're being honest, like en esos momentos son los momentos donde menos quieres que, not to bother you, but it is kind of bother. You're over here recovering. You're over here like, I just gave birth.
Unless she tells you, hey, come on over.
Come on over. Yeah. And I feel like, you know, a veces uno como hermano, como primo, como like someone that loves a person that just gave birth, quiere a huevo ir a conocer, you know, but like sometimes tienes que poner en mente that like, is it the right time? Did they approve? Are they okay? Did they invite us?
Yes. And that's what I told Mike, because I didn't mind his brother being there or his mom or his emergency family. I didn't mind. I just told him like, babe, let's just wait till we go home. Yeah. You know, because it's tiring.
So you go home, you start motherhood, obviamente. Was that hard? Obviously adjusting, you know, to like now having 2 babies at home. Te volviste loca. How was like the beginning months before you actually adjusted to, you know, being a mom?
So whenever we went home, I remember my mom did help me the first 2 weeks. She helped me do the night feeding because it's every 3 hours. But it was time for Mike to go back to work. And my mom stopped helping me at night because, I mean, I told my mom, one of us has to be rested. You know, there's no way. So my mom would sleep the night shift. And Mike helped me for a whole week. And it was time for him to go back to work. So that's where it kicked my butt. Like, I had to have one twin here, the other one here, and then with the bottles and having to keep them at the same schedule because that helped me to this day, saved my life with the girls, keeping them in the same routine. So it was really tough. Sometimes I would cry because I was so tired. Like, I just couldn't sleep.
Like, you were overwhelmed. Did you ever get like postpartum depression?
No, I don't think, gracias a Dios, that I suffered postpartum. Maybe just within how I looked myself. I was really insecure, obviously, because your belly is floppy and like I don't look the same, but I don't think I suffered of any postpartum because I don't know, I just don't think I did.
Like, you were just like, I love my girls, like I'm here. But you know what's so crazy? Like, I've talked to a lot of mommies about postpartum. I feel like even like how you felt, that can be a postpartum. Maybe like it didn't get grave to the point where you're like, oh, I want to harm my babies or I want to harm myself. But that postpartum period is very normal for, you know, women to not feel themselves, for them to feel like, you know, their body. A lot of women feel like, wow, ¿qué hice con mi cuerpo? But it's important that you knew that you had just given birth to two babies, to two beautiful babies, y que es un logro grande. Quiero platicar un poquito más, you know, as a family. What do you feel like was the hardest thing that you guys went through or that you guys had to adapt to when it came to like being a family?
I think the hardest part was deciding what kind of family we wanted to be, you know, because obviously I grew up, to me, my parents are together because my stepdad's my dad. He grew up, and he's okay with me saying this, he grew up with divorced parents. So his parents were together and then they divorced when he was like, I believe 7. And then they did get back together. So when we were trying to build a family, they were together and he was used to seeing them a certain way. And I was used to seeing my parents a certain way, which my family was very family connected, orientated. Like, we do everything together. He wanted more like, well, you can do this and I'll do that. And I'm like, I want to do it as a family, you know, like we need to do this as a family. So we bumped heads along, like, how do we want to be a family? What's our rules? What's our family rules? What's our family
goals?
Yes, our goals. Like, just, you know, like I understand that my family's a certain way and I understand your family's a certain way and we don't have to be like them. I was like, but we can create our own and agree to that, you know? And that took us a long time to realize and be okay because that was mostly of our arguments. Like, he wanted a certain way and I wanted a certain way. So I think it's a big part of, you know, once you have family and kids, you have to always understand each other and be so understanding within one another, because if not, it won't work.
Eso pasa mucho with young parents. You know, obviamente you guys had your babies at a super young age, en una edad donde uno quiere estar de fiesta, donde uno quiere andar en el desmadre, obviamente, pero ya no se puede hacer igual. You know, obviamente you can have fun, but ya no es igual. What do you feel was like that moment where you guys finally synced together and you guys were like, you know what, we both are seeing eye to eye. We both know that we don't want to be out parrandeando. Like, we have a family now. What was that moment for you guys where you feel like, okay, like, estamos en la misma página?
So I've never been open about this, but me and Mike actually had, we split up for a while before I even did social media. It was not even a while. It was probably a month, but to us, it felt like eternity, you know?
Especially as parents,
we split up, and it was very tough. Like, I knew that's not what I wanted, and he knew deep down that's not what he wanted. And I think the moment we realized is when that whole month, when we weren't with each other, like, we realized, like, you know, screw everything else. Like, let's just do it together. Like, we got this, you know?
Especially porque en ese mes, I'm sure that you guys were able to, like, go do what you guys wanted to do, like, go have fun, whatever it was. And then you realize, like, no, that's not what I want to do. Like, I see myself being a father. Like, I have my kids. Like, ¿por qué ando haciendo, parrandeando, or doing whatever it is, like, when I want my family? Was that, like, a thing for you guys?
Well, honestly, we never really went out that whole month. Like, we no hicimos nada. I think just sleeping by ourselves. Well, he said that his biggest hurt that he had was whenever he wasn't with us or the girls. Like, he knew that that's all he wanted was just me and the girls, and nothing else mattered. And also, I think it has to do with a lot of who you connect yourself with, you know, who you surround yourself. Because I feel like you can be married and hang out with single people, but there's single people that don't respect that fact that you have a family now and you have kids, and, you know. So I think that us changing who we hang out with and surround ourselves with had a lot to do with how well we work with each other now.
Platicamos un poquito de que obviamente it's really hard for, you know, young parents to get on the same page and be like, okay, we need to do this for our family. We're doing this for, you know, our girls. ¿Qué es un consejo que tú le puedes dar a any young parent watching this that is maybe struggling with creating a family, with making their family feel like a family?
I think a lot of compromising. I think if you don't understand each other's feelings, it won't work, because I've always told Mike, and he has always done the same thing to me. He might think my point is so invalid and so dumb, but he's so understanding, and he'll be like, you know what? I know that hurt your feelings, so I understand, and I won't do it again, or I understand this won't happen. And same vice versa. Like, I might think what he's upset about is so dumb, but I had to understand that his feelings are so much different than mine. So a lot of compromising. I think that's the biggest thing in a relationship, compromising. Even if, I mean, obviously love too, but I think the compromising is my biggest one on my list, because that's what helped me and Mike.
Si te sientes cómoda with sharing, what do you feel like was your biggest compromise? Like something that you're like, okay, you know, maybe I don't agree fully, but I can live with it.
I think maybe his work industry. He worked a lot out of town. It was really tough because he's a welder, so el terco want to be a welder, and we suffered a lot financially as well the first 3 years trying to be parents, because he wanted to be a welder. So I told him at the end, it's not that I'm not supporting your dream, it's just you will go months without working. Like, we need a backup, you know. Yeah. But I tried to just compromise and understand that was his dream, and I had to keep going until he realized that.
Hasta que él mire. Because I feel like sometimes cuando uno está de que ya no, como que se empican más y quieren hacerlo más. But you were perfect in the sense of like, you know what? I don't think it's gonna benefit us in the long run. No lo está mirando él ahorita, pero como dices tú, va a llegar un momento donde va a decir, güey, me estoy matando, me estoy haciendo esto otro, I'm working so hard, and no estamos progresando.
Yes, and you know what? He used to work out of town. He used to work crazy hours. I started doing social media, and I would do it for fun, and you know, it ended up working out. That thankfully, I think like maybe 8 months, he ended up telling me, you know what, I think it's time for a career change. And I'm like, do it. Gracias a Dios, you can be off for work for a while, and I got it. Like, you do it. You know, we're a team. It's no who pays the bills, who's this. No, it's just we're a team. My money's your money, and your money's my money. So he did that. He ended up changing career paths. No le gustó.
What did he choose?
He was doing the CDO driving, right? Because his dad has his business. So he's like, let me do it with him. He had to take classes, do the practicing classes. He's like, let me do it. We can probably, because that's one of mine, Mike's dream is own a CDO company because they make money. So I told him, you know what, we can do it. You can drive if you want. So that's why he was off for a good 6 months, and he was like, babe, I don't like it. So I'm like, you know what, then okay, go back to welding, like, if that's what you like. But he's like, I promise I'm just gonna find a job that doesn't work crazy hours, because he was never home with the girls when he worked those crazy hours. He would just get home, sleep, and the girls would just always miss daddy. And my dream was always like, no, I want to be able to have a family and like
have the dad be present. You know.
Yes. So now, thankfully, to social media, we're able to do that.
While you were raising your children, y cuando Mike estaba trabajando, te tocaba que pues obviamente él no estaba en casa. Was it hard for you to raise your baby while he was gone a lot of the time?
I think because it was tough on me. When we lived alone in our apartments, I had to take him to doctor's appointments, had to take him here, take him speech therapy, because my girls did a lot of speech therapy. So we would go, and it was the same routine over and over. And at the time, I was struggling with one twin. She was a crybaby and stuff. So I felt very lonely at home. Like, I just felt like, what am I even doing, you know? So I just felt very lonely. I think that at times I would just cry at night and just... I was thankful, you know, I know I'm not a single mom, and I know he's making money, but I wanted so much more than that. Again, I grew up with my dad and my stepdad and my mom being together all the time, that I knew that's what I wanted. I wanted him to be part of parties. I wanted him to be part of family functions, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and just things like that. So I always wanted to make sure that he was home with us, and thankfully now he is. You
make a great point, and it's actually, I had seen a TikTok. I'm bringing up puros TikToks. No, but I had seen a TikTok. It was a podcast donde estaban platicando about being a stay-at-home mom. I feel like hay muchas personas que don't see being a stay-at-home mom as something like, oh, it's hard. And it is hard. You know, I have a lot of friends that are mothers that I feel like they don't get the credit they deserve because it's a lot. I feel like stay-at-home moms never get like time off. Did you ever feel like that, overwhelmed with like fuck, ni tiempo para mí tengo.
Yeah, so I remember at the time I used to stay up to like 12, 1, 3 in the morning because that was my only time off, you know. The girls I always had them in a strict schedule, so they would always be asleep by like 9. So I had all those hours that I didn't have throughout the day awake at night. And then the next morning I would regret it. So I would stay up from like 9 o'clock to like, 2, 3 in the morning because it was the only times I had off throughout the whole day. And I don't want to say off because being a mom, you're always a mom. And my girls were really, really good. So what I mean is just I'm always on my feet.
Yeah.
Always on my feet. Always on my feet. Cooking, cleaning, always on my feet.
Changing diapers.
Yeah, changing diapers. I just want to like...
Relax. It's your distress time.
Yes.
I feel like, and it's very normal. And you know what's funny? In that TikTok, miren muchos comentarios donde muchas de las mamás en los comentarios estaban diciendo, yeah, like my distress time is anytime after 10 p.m. Like I go to sleep late because I got to do what I got to do for myself porque en el día no tengo tiempo para mí.
And I lost myself in motherhood. That's one thing I can say. Like before I had the girls, of course I would work. I would buy myself clothes, shoes, and maybe I didn't have the best style, but I would always buy myself stuff. And then once I became a mom, like I barely bought myself bras after like 5 years. Because like it, because I just felt mom guilt. Like I wanted to buy them stuff before me. Like I wanted to make sure Mike was okay before me. So it was just that mom guilt that would eat me. I knew I could buy myself stuff, but I'm like, I can rather pay a bill with this money than do that. So, and you know what? I remember growing up and seeing my mom in las mismas garras, in the same clothes, and I would never understood like why she was wearing the same thing until I became a mother.
Did you have a lot of help from Mike cuando él llegaba a la casa?
Oh,
or llegaba muy cansado?
No, that's Mike is amazing. I can't even describe how amazing he is. He is a present father. Like he knew I was so tired that he'll be like, babe, I'll give him a bath. Oh, babe, don't worry, I got this. Or I'll put him to sleep, even though he'll fall asleep with them. But he was so present to this day that I'm just so blessed to the kind of husband and father I got.
Hablamos de que pues obviamente being a stay-at-home mom is a hard job and it's not for everyone, it's not for the weak. Toma mucho amor. ¿Qué advice le puedes dar a alguien that's a stay-at-home mom now que se siente como que they're not doing enough or que se sienten o que están en una situación donde les dicen a alguien que oh, it's not that hard being a stay-at-home mom?
Don't listen to anyone because at the end of the day, I want you to put yourself first because if you're not happy, you're not going to have a happy home. You're not going to have happy kids. You're not going to have a happy husband. You're always going to be so unhappy if you're not happy within yourself. Take care of yourself. Buy yourself bras. Buy yourself shirts. Buy yourself whatever you want, makeup. Your family will be good as long as you're good. So just don't lose yourself because I think you being happy will make everyone else happy. And that was me.
Nos cuentas de que you lost yourself en el proceso of being a mom. ¿Qué fue el momento donde tú dijiste, sabes qué? Me perdí, pero me quiero reencontrar porque yo ya no estoy feliz y para que mis hijas, como dices tú, para que mis hijas y mi familia sean felices, yo tengo que estar in a good state of mind. Was there a moment for you that was like, I need to switch it up?
Actually started when I did social media. I remember Mike was working out of town in Louisiana and I was making the girls their birthday party and I just felt so lonely at home making their goodie bags and just stuff like that. And I was just always sit on the couch. I always had headaches. I would not even do my bed. Like I was just in an unhappy place until I was just like, you know what am I doing with myself? Like, I do not want to be like this. I don't want to just my daughters remember me. Like, my dad was always working. My mom era amargada. I wouldn't even, like, do nothing. So I just got up the next day. I started waking up at 7 a.m. before the girls woke up. Got ready, did my makeup, did my bed, made the girls breakfast, we ate, took them to the park. I started to do a whole routine and it made me feel so great as a mother and as a wife and as a person, just myself.
Suele pasar, which is super normal, like, and it's not to shame those that are still in that stage. Suele pasar mucho que, you know, you lose yourself, you know, y lo bueno que te puedes tú reencontrar. ¿Están casados tú y Mike?
Yes, we're
¿Cómo pasó eso? Cuéntame un poquito más de cómo te pidió matrimonio, ¿cómo pasó eso?
So Mike proposed to me when COVID was going on. He proposed to me. It was Mother's Day actually, and my mother-in-law just got everyone together. And actually, my mother-in-law's birthday is also on Mother's Day. So I'm like, you took her light away. So I remember he was, I think, shady, and I remember my friend too. Like I didn't understand. Like
they were being weird.
They were
like
being
sus.
weird. Like
yeah,
and I didn't understand. I'm like, let me find out. I was like, why are they being so weird? Like they're not letting me do this or do that or I don't know what. And then they ended up putting a blindfold on me. I guess they were decorating outside, and they ended up putting a blindfold on me. I'm like, he's proposing. I had already know. I'm like, let me find out he's proposing. And as soon as I walk out, there's music, and he plays our song, and there's music playing in the back, and there's a heart shape, and it just says, will you marry me, with candles on. And he just gets on his knees and he just proposes to me.
And you're like, and I said yes. Yes. What is your guys' song? ¿Qué canción es la de ustedes?
I think at the time it was that song. Honestly, it was, ¿cómo se llama la de Jason Aldean?
¿Cómo va?
You Make It Easy. You Make It Easy by Jason Aldean.
Huh. I'm like, I've never heard that song. ¿Cómo va? Me canta.
No.
I'm like, concierto.
I'm gonna break it.
¿Cómo va la canción? Like, I've never heard it, I think. You don't have to sing it. Like, just say like the lyrics.
You make it easy. You make it. ¿Cómo va? Sí, loving you. Something like that.
La voy a buscar, amiga.
Yeah,
Lo bueno que es su canción. I'm like, ya ni sé si es en verdad su canción porque ni se recuerda.
He's gonna be like, babe, really? I thought that was our song.
He's like, it was. We've moved on.
But we don't listen. That was our high school song.
Oh,
so
okay.
I don't even remember the last time I heard that song.
Ya están en otra etapa, you know.
Yes.
¿Cómo fue la boda? How was that?
Well, we actually just got married through court.
Okay.
Yeah. So he does tell me, you want to have a wedding? I'm like, ya pa qué? Like, we're already married, have kids.
Ya somos casados, have kids, ya tenemos una familia. That's crazy. So, quiero platicar un poquito de tus inicios. Hoy en día te vemos all over social media, pero no siempre fue así. ¿Cómo empezó todo esto? What made you start content creating?
So, I started social media when Mike was out of town working, and I remember it was just my safe place. I was so bored at home that I was just like, let me just make videos, you know? So, I just started making videos with my girls' goodie bags. And then I stopped, and then I started making videos of me cleaning, and I stopped. Like, I couldn't find the one thing that I kind of wanted to not just focus on, but like start off with, I guess, like something that I really truly liked. And I would always cook. Like, I always cook, but I never recorded myself. So until Mike got back home, and I was like, baby, you want some Chipotle bowls? I still remember the video. And he's like, oh yeah, like I want some. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna make some. And I made Chipotle bowls, and I decided to record. I remember that day I told Mike, can you go to the room though? Like, I don't want you to watch me record. And he's like, really, babe? I'm like, I'm serious. Like, I don't want you to watch me. And he goes to the room, and he stays there until I'm done cooking. It was probably took me like 2 hours. And he was in there.
He's like, can I come out?
He'll tell me, like, are you ready yet? I'm like, no, like, stay over there. So I recorded it. I edited. I remember my editing skills was so horrible. And I posted it, and I saw, like, I used to always just get 100 likes. And then I saw it was like 2,000. I'm like, okay, people like this. So then I started recording every single meal I would make because I enjoyed cooking. Because Mike, before I even did like the reactions, he always gave me good reactions. Like, he would always compliment my food. So I think that was just a little trend going on, that he would react to my food.
What was that moment or that video where you were like, what the fuck? Like, I can actually make this my full-time job. ¿Tuviste un momento así?
Yes, I actually made a chorizo tostada. That's Mike's favorite breakfast. I still remember I made him a chorizo tostada. I had chorizo, aguacate, sour cream, salsa verde, and I made him 4, and that one took off like big time. And I was like, oh crap. I'm like, you know what? Let me keep doing it. I didn't think it would be a full-time career at the time. I just was like, well, let me keep making these. People like it. Until maybe 3 months later, I got like the first brand deal ever, and I was like, damn, like this, I can do this. You
get really good brand deals. Like, estamos hablando de marcas que a lo mejor no necesitan promoción, but you be getting them, because I'm talking about brands that are so like staple, like that, like you'd see at Target, you'd see like at your local stores where you'd feel like, they don't need promotion, pero si tú las agarras esas promoción. How does that feel? Obviamente, el saber that you've grown so much on your social medias to where you're like, you know what, like there's people out there that love my work that want to sponsor me.
It feels amazing. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I do doubt myself. Like, I'm sure other influencers can relate, but I do doubt myself a lot. But I always just think about how grateful I am to be where I'm at, and I'm so blessed, and I always thank God every single day, because life is just so much different now. Like, it's so much different.
Was there ever like people in your life, en el principio estabas empezando, that maybe doubted you, or like, ay, ¿esta qué está haciendo? Que se ponga a cuidar las niñas mejor, porque esto no va a sacar ningún fruto. Social media, like, especially for Hispanics, like, they're like, que me estás diciendo que vas a ganar dinero con un video. Did you ever have people in your life, friends, family, that doubted you?
I had my husband's friends, like, they would kind of, like, make jokes about it, but my mom was always supportive. If I had like 100 likes, she'll make 101 likes. Like, they were actually very supportive and they understood, you know. So I did get make fun of by like my husband's side of the guy friends, but other than that, people were very supportive and they'll reshare my stuff and they're just so kind.
Nos platicas de que, you know, you start going viral. ¿Cómo te cambia la vida social media?
It changed my life for the better. I can't even think about my life then to now. Just Mike is able to stay more time home. You know, now that I make income, you would think that I would spend my money. Like, I would like, let me go and buy myself stuff. And I still struggle to this day to buy myself stuff because I just think about the hard times that we had, that I'm so good at saving money. Like, I'm just like, no, I'm going to save it. What if we go broke next month? And I save it. And, you know, me and Mike are at the point of our lives that I'm like, let's invest, let's make money. And like I said, I have a good friend of mine, Jackie, that she's a lawyer and she's a boss lady. Like, she invests and she shows me, and she, you know, and I told Mike, obviously social media won't be forever, but we'll have investments, you know? So I'm just thankful.
Before you started doing social media, you weren't working, right?
No,
you were a stay-at-home mom.
I used to work at a chiropractor office when COVID hit. Because Mike was laid off.
So then you went back and then you stopped going to work, right? So obviamente going from not making an income, from being a stay-at-home mom, to where you kind of felt like you really couldn't help economically a tu marido. ¿Cómo te sientes ahora que ya puedes, you know, contribute? How do you feel now that you feel like, wow, like I'm making my own money too?
I used to feel very useless whenever I didn't work. I didn't realize that being a stay-at-home mom is a full-time job. You know, it is a full-time job. But I just felt like, oh, because I couldn't bring $50, $100 when we were struggling financially, it made me feel like crap. So now I think it's just a blessing. Like, I feel so happy where I'm at right now in life. I do want to keep going and do more things. And, you know, I want to be able to show other people who want to be content creators how to do this. But I think nowadays there's just so much backlash on content creators that I feel like people don't understand that you can make this a full-time career. And yeah, I know social media won't be full-time, but how you deal with your money, it's your choice, you know?
Y lo que a mí me gusta de ti es que I feel like you're such a success story in the sense of, hay mucha gente que mira gente on social media and they're like, oh, they've been doing this for so many years. That's why they got it so good, or that's why they're making money, you know? But you've only been doing this for a year and a half, casi 2 años. And, you know, obviously you've seen the growth, you've put in the work, and it really is a thing of like, you know what, si tú pudiste, there's no excuse why people can't, you know, because I feel like social media is, especially now, I feel like now it's more accessible because, like you said, even influencers like share, like, yo me acuerdo cuando yo empecé haciendo YouTube, en el 2015, 2016, long time ago, even though I was making a lot of money, like, uno nunca como que le daba pena decir, I'm making money. You know what I mean? Like, even me, I remember in the beginning of my social media career, like, when I first started, I always would make jokes about me being broke. Because at the time, I was fucking broke, you know?
I do that too.
But obviously, ya cuando empiezas a ganar, like, I kind of, like, I would say those jokes, but I'm like, okay, I'm not really fucking broke. Like, I would just say them. But then I started feeling bad because I'm like, okay, these people probably think I'm broke, but I really am not. Yeah. But then I also don't want to be like, oh, I make all this money, because tampoco no quiero que piensen que I'm flaunting it or I'm, like, showing it off. I feel like now social media has become a place where, like, it's okay to be like, I'm making money, y'all. Like, I can do this. Y'all can too. Especially with TikTok, because I feel like that's where you blew up.
Yes, I agree. I feel like I would like to be able to speak up on that. Like, you know, if I can do it, you can do it. I just feel like right now, at least with some people, don't understand that you can make this a full-time career. That if you were to share, oh, well, I made this amount of money at brand deal, there's so much hate from it too. You know, like, they just get so mad that someone's being so successful in it. Which is, you know, because people just think it's a simple video. Which, I mean, yeah, it is, but it's work, you know?
Exactly what you said is like what I think too. Like, it's very hard to open up, especially about finances, because like you want to be real, you want to be raw, so these people can see how lucrative like the social media business is. Yo me acuerdo que hace poco, literal I was on a podcast, Chins and Giggles, love the girls, and I opened up about, you know, money. I opened up about how much I had made back then on YouTube. I opened up about like my biggest sponsorship, cositas así, you know, just kind of like en plática, because me, I was like, you know, like, it's real. It's like, I want people to know que, like, puedes hacer algo de social media. And I swear to God, people started clipping these videos like, Alan Ice made all this money, y empezaron a atacar. And it's funny because days later, I was talking about money on my TikTok about like, oh, like, you know, I just paid for this, it's expensive, or like, kind of not complaining, but just, you know, talking. And there was a lot of people like, shut the fuck up, like, you made all this money, you make this much and this. And it's like, okay, I make all this money, or I've made all this money, pero no nomás por eso significa que voy a ser pendejo con mi dinero. Cuando at the beginning, obviamente I was like, you get all this money and you're like, chingas madre, swipe here, swipe there. But it comes a time where you're like, okay, I gotta be smart. Because como dices tú, no siempre, it's not guaranteed. Gracias a Dios, I've been doing this almost for 10 years and I haven't been stopping and I don't see myself stopping anytime soon. Pero el que puede pasar siempre existe. Like you said, what if TikTok gets banned next month and your biggest income is cut? You know, how do you feel about, you know, now that you do social media full time? Like, ¿cómo te sientes ahora el saber que just sharing your daily life, you know, being a mom, because that's literally your content, being a mom, being a wife, now makes you an income?
I think it's mostly my girls, or like my followers. It makes me happy to see comments saying like, you motivate me to record, you motivated me to get up and do my bed. Like those comments is what keeps me going. And regarding all the mean comments that there is, I love to see that I make an impact, at least in some people's lives, because I used to be there, you know. So it makes me feel really, really happy where I'm at now, and I want to keep going, you know. I want to keep doing, I want to do a cookbook, seasonings. There's just so many things that I have planned for myself that I don't plan on stopping.
Y yo sé que lo vas a lograr, honestamente sé que vas a llegar hasta más lejos de lo que tú piensas. Ya para terminar, una de las últimas preguntitas, you know, with social media now, nos comentas de que you get a lot of hate comments as well as a lot of positive comments. And you also mentioned earlier that, you know, growing up, you were very insecure. And then as you know, started posting on social media, sientes como que you became a little bit more insecure. How do you deal now with the haters? ¿Cómo le haces tú para bloquear all the negativity and really focus on the positive?
I started using the block button. I block people. I used to not, or I used to just kill them with kindness, because it's just, you know, it's better. Why react? Sometimes I do react mean to comments because it's hurtful and people don't understand that, you know. But I understand that I'm putting my life out there, and regardless, you're gonna get hate comments. But at the first year, I would cry. I remember my biggest mean comment, and I was just crying and crying, and I wanted to just give it up. I wanted to just give up social media. I was like, I can't do this, like, it's affecting me. And my husband was like, even if you don't do social media, there's going to be people, friends, family that are going to do this. Like, you know, you keep going if that's what you want to do. And I just kept going, and now I just block people. Like, it doesn't affect me as much. Sometimes if people are mean about my daughters, I get hurt. But
you're like, habla de mí, pero de mis hijas no.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, obviamente nos cuentas de que, you know, there was a time where you wanted to stop because, you know, ya no podías con los comentarios. Was it anything specific with like anything that you already felt insecure about that people were like recalcando?
It wasn't more insecurity. It was I got a threat comment on my Instagram. Someone messaged me, and I felt like it was probably someone I knew, or I'm not sure, because I've always been open about having a twin brother, but I don't know, it seems sketchy. But I got an Instagram message saying, I hope one of your twins die the way your brother died. And that was what I said, I can't do this no more. Like, I told him, like, I can't, like, I know as much people like me, there's going to be people and you don't know what they can do.
It's scary.
So I feared for my girls. I was like, so I post them, but sometimes I don't, but they love it. Like, I'll try to send you a video, but my girls just put their phone and they do what I do. Hi guys, today I'm gonna be doing this, and it's just so sweet. Like, they love it, but it took me a long time.
Do you feel like after, you know, that threat, do you feel like now that you go out in public, especially with the girls, te sientes como like, oh shit, I gotta watch out, like uno nunca sabe? Because it really is like that, you know. I've gotten threat comments before too, or even messages, especially cuando te funan, you know, when you're getting canceled. It's happened to me a lot of times, donde me han mandado mensajes, y obviamente aquí estoy, no me ha pasado nada, gracias a Dios. But like, sí te pone como un susto. Like, even in the moment, you're like, me vale verga, a ver, que vengan a hacer lo que quieran hacer. But then you're like, you're out and you're like, oh shit, like, I just got fucking threatened yesterday. Like, ya que ando en la calle. Has that ever happened to you? Where like, now when you go out with your girls, you're like, cautious?
Definitely. I remember once I got a message saying, is your daughters ever with you? Like, I never see them, and you never take them to the store. because I'm scared. Like, if their dad's home, I'll just leave them. If I have to take them, then I'll take them with me. Or if we're all together as a family, then I'll take them. But it's the only reason I don't take my girls. Even before I would do social media, my older sister used to tell me, why don't you take them to the park or do this when you're by yourself? I'm like, I'm scared. Yeah. There's an awful world. What if I look away and one of them runs the other way and I miss out? Like, you know, like, I just can't. I have two. It was really, really tough to do things on my own in public with my anxiety of something happening to them. So I never really did. To this day, I'm really, really, and my girls are so friendly. They will talk to the strangest person ever, and I've already told them, you can't talk to strangers. So I'm always terrified. If Mike's not with me, I'm terrified. Everywhere
You're like, me quedo en casa.
Me quedo en casa.
But I feel like that's also something great because, like you said, like, you got to be cautious. You got to be careful. Like, there might be a lot of people that love your girl, but there might be that one person that has ill intentions. There might be that one person que te quiere hacer daño, quiere hacerles daños a ella. So it's better to be cautious, prevenida, que algo te pase.
Yes,
you know? Ya para terminar, quiero preguntarte a ti, ¿en dónde te miras tú en los próximos 5 años?
In 5 years, I do want to be able to have my own cookbook, maybe seasonings, and I do want to invest in, like, real estate a lot. So in 5 years, that is my goal. Maybe a baby, because Mike is asking for a baby now. So in 5 years, that's where I see myself.
¿Qué tal que agarres otros twins? Is that a thing? Is that possible?
Well, my family runs twice. But...
like back to back?
Back to back. No, the first ones were twins, and then she had another one. It was a boy, and then she had the other ones were...
How crazy would it be if you have twins again?
No.
I know. Talk on wood. I'm
gonna come back to this video.
We're gonna come back. I made it happen, you guys. But that's crazy. Si pasa, pues obviamente... pasó y Dios lo quiso así. Yes. But I'm so happy que estuviste aquí con nosotros. En verdad que sí, disfruté mucho esta plática. I really enjoyed getting to meet you a little bit more. Tú dímelo, amiga.
I want you to know that I saw a comment, right, when you did Fabiana, and you did theirs, and there was a rude comment that said, not him bringing just strangers or people at this point. I want you to know that you are changing the beginning. Influencers that are barely starting life. Like, this was a big opportunity. So I don't want you to ever see like, oh, they're just random people, because you're starting our career.
Cuando yo miro comentarios así, like, because I do get them a lot, like, oh my God, Alan is bringing nobodies, and I'm like, girl, like, what do you mean? Y luego, sabes que ya, perfecto que traes eso. I get a lot of people que me dicen, bring your fans, bring people like your average person. And I'm like, okay, like, the people that I'm bringing on that have followers are your average people. And I love the fact that I'm able to sit down with you y conocerte un poquito más de lo que posiblemente tú hubieras posteado. And to me, like, me vale si tienes 1,000, 2,000, 500,000, a million. I've had people here with like 10 million. I've had people here with like 100,000 followers. And to me, is like, lo que me importa es la historia, porque todos tenemos una historia and we've all gone through it. And I feel like puede ver personitas that can relate so much to you. And I'm really happy que tú estás aquí. No mires esos comentarios. Honestamente, I see them all the time. And all I want to say, you guys, a mí no me importa. This is not the podcast where we're just doing people with a lot of followers. I have gotten to the point, people ask me about the fans, like, bring a fan. I would always say no, only because pues grabamos aquí en la casa. Pero ya que ya tenemos un lugar en donde vamos a grabar, that's something that I want to do. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you were nervous. I know you were shy. Ayer cuando we got on the call, you guys, I was like, let me get on the call with her para que esté más tranquilita. But I really do appreciate it.
And you made this such a smooth process, so thank you.
Thank you. No, en verdad que sí, amigas. I love you. I love your story. Y yo sé que ya también en casita les encantó este episodio. If you guys want to go ahead and follow Itzel, ahí les voy a dejar todas sus plataformas down below as well as on the screen. Y también no se les olvide to follow me on all my social medias so you guys won't miss any future episodes. And with that being said, thank you once again.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
And thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys. Yay, you did so good. I loved it.